Some of my favorite drummers are number one, Tommy Lee, Motley Crue, two, Matt Cameron from Soundgarden, and three, Phil Varone from Saigon Kick. Phil is my guest this week. We discuss his new band, Panic Boom, as well as his upcoming documentary, 30 Years a Drummer. Enjoy.
It's the rock and roll and coffee show. Yeah, with Joe.
But yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be back. Good to see you.
Yeah. So you got your documentary coming out?
Yes.
30 Years a Drummer.
30 Years a Drummer. Sometime probably by the end of the year, it'll be out. COVID has kind of stopped a lot of stuff with that. But yeah, so we've been working on that one for a couple of years now. So it's going to be kind of like 30/32. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So.
Yeah, it keeps getting pushed back. I know that because I've been waiting for it.
Yeah, we I'm not editing it, even though I'm an editor as my business. But my buddy Jeff Peavy is editing, and he incredible editor. He's my editing partner. So I gave it to him to tell the story, and we just got to fill in the blanks. There's a couple more interviews we have to do, and a lot of the stuff is because of travel and just what's been going on with COVID. Before the COVID issue, there was a trip to Florida planned of a lot of people in Florida to interview and stuff like that. So all that stuff had to be delayed a little bit. And then we were trying to think about, like, should we do something, because of COVID, we can do interviews like this, like right. Zoom interviews. And I still want to kind of go the in-person route, I think. So we're going to see how COVID pans out over the next couple of months.
Okay.
And if it's cool or whatever, I'll probably end up doing that. And we're looking at probably a holiday next year, this year, sometime maybe around my birthday, which is October. That's the original release date, was October 15th of last year. So we're still looking around there. So we'll see. Yeah.
Okay. So how long have you been filming for this?
It's been, I've been filming my whole life for it. We're using footage for, I have an incredible archive of footage.
Yeah.
I have, from my first drum set when I was 2, I actually posted that picture on Facebook to like present day. And I was very fortunate that, because my mother used to take pictures of me all the time, and I would, Ma, stop taking pictures, Ma, stop. And I'm really happy she did. Because, we have everything. And then over the years, I just documented everything, on video. So
that's awesome.
So we have basically everything that I'm going to talk about, I have video for. Wow. And it's actually, I was very fortunate that we have all this stuff. So along with that stock footage, we have to have other people tell the story clearly. And that's where the issue has been with getting the interviews. I mean, my stuff is done, me talking about everything. So I want to get as many talking heads in there that can kind of tell the story in their way as well, and have some fun, some drummers. I already have a couple of my friends we already interviewed for it, drummer wise, that are well known. Okay. So we're just gonna, what I really want to do is head back to Florida and show, where the roots were, like where Saigon Kick was born, and, the people involved with that. Because what we're exploring with this documentary is not so much telling the story of one particular band or one particular time. We're covering 30 years, but along the way, what I'm trying to do is showcase people that you wouldn't know. We're not, everyone knows Skid Row, Saigon Kick, and all that stuff. But how did I get to Saigon Kick? Like, you'll meet, my first guitar players. Well, you'll meet people that aren't famous, but without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I really wanted to, celebrate them and just tell funny stories about the road that I just, as a fan, I was able to witness and be a part of, which I think is the greatest part about the music business. When it comes full circle.
Was it hard to track down these old friends, or have you been in contact with them?
No, I have lifelong friends. Cool. And in fact, in Panic Boom, they're all my lifelong friends. Tony Cortese, the guitar player in Panic Boom, was in well, it was his band, was my first band ever. I joined him in '83. And that was Rippin' Fingers, and we called Rippin' Fingers Leeway. We had those cool names back then.
Rippin' Fingers, yes.
Yeah, it was Rippin' Fingers with the pointed P too.
Can I steal that name from you?
Absolutely, take it. We had names like Monolith and FLA and all that fun stuff. So he's in Panic Boom. So there, that's my lifelong friend that I started with, because he's very patient when I joined that band. Tony was he was like the guitar player, and ironically, Tony Cortese and Jason Beeler were the two guitar players in Coral Springs, and I started with Tony, and Tony was very patient with me and let me learn how to play drums, and then we eventually formed Saigon Kick, and Tony didn't want to go into music. He owned restaurants and stuff, his family business. He took over. Yeah. So it's kind of cool now that 30 years later we can go, hey man, come in this band. But he's so he's in the band, and I have my lifelong friends. So everybody that I would interview there, I've known for 30 years, and they've been friends ever since.
So when you started this documentary, when you had the idea, were you retiring from drums?
I was. I just finished the Jakey Lee tour with Red Dragon Cartel, and I had a very dramatic retirement thing. It was just stupid. Which I have apologized numerous times since. But basically, I was hurting. I was on the road, and it was, I guess, an eye-opening experience, because my body hurt and I felt stuff that I hadn't felt ever before. This pain, and I think there was a window of like depression in a sense, because I'm like, wait a minute, it never hurt me. Like, why do I hurt right now? This is bizarre. And it just gave me the realization that I'm not young anymore.
It happens.
Yeah. And it happened in a weird way, because up until then, I really wasn't touring or anything. I was just, I did a record and I was playing, but then it was like, wait a minute, I still feel like I'm 18 in my brain, but my body is not. How do I do this? And that was that was something I needed to deal with. And my father always used to tell me, never think about it first. Don't ever just do, because it's going to be emotional. You're probably going to hate it in the morning. You wish you never did it. And I was like, I know. And I'd always listen to him. And then unfortunately he had passed away, so I wasn't able to call him, and he probably would have stopped me, but instead I did this big Hollywood dramatic, I'm retiring, I hate everything,
I remember that, and I remember hearing about it. I was like, what? No, he can't stop playing drums. Like one of the best rock drummers out there.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, ironically,
you were selling your shit too, right?
Oh yeah, well, my drum set is at my bass player's house. But I didn't want any part of anything. I just was like, I'm selling everything. I don't want drums near me. I hate them. They're the reason that I just went into this kind of, psychotic episode of nonsense. Then I woke up and was like, oh, I could have handled that differently. But then probably about a month after I got home, a friend of mine called me and said, look, I wrote this song, would you play drums on it? And I said, man, I retired. I really don't want to play drums. I just was not in drummer mode. I was still burnt from everything. And it was his birthday, and, all the musicians in town were going to play on it. Mike Varone, great guitar player, and he was putting it together. And I said, okay, fine. I'll go down there. And I really didn't want to do it. And he sent me the song, and I went down there and I just played, and it was like it was like a rebirth. I played well, and it was fun. And I said, all right, maybe I'll play. It kind of just took that. He kind of, it was the catalyst to make me play again. And the song was so cool because during the middle of the song, he goes, hey, you're going to have like a 16 bar break. Just go, just jam. And they gave me all these cool like spaces to play in. And all this really fun stuff came out of me, all this like syncopation and odd time stuff. And I I just really had a good time doing it. And that kind of like was the catalyst to go, okay, maybe I should play. Cause I start missing it, and
Sure.
yeah, I just started playing and doing that. And then when COVID hit, I had just bought Pro Tools, right? I just got the system, and I didn't know anything about using it.
Mm-hmm.
And it stood in the corner, like staring at me, like just taunting me, because I was like, I don't want to do Pro Tools. I don't want to do it. I don't, it's too much. I don't think I could do it. Then COVID hit, and I said, all right, I'll open the box. Cause I mean, what are we going to do for 2 years? So I just studied Pro Tools. I studied movie editing and engineering and all that stuff. And now we did the Panic Boom record. That's how we did it. We did it in our home studios. And it was because of the time that I put into like studying Pro Tools and learning how to use it. And then as an editor, I directed videos and edited videos for a couple of years, but I really studied editing and really work as an editor. I mean, I have a job as an editor, in my real life. I also I directed and edited our video for Panic Boom. And Chris McClernand, he did he produced and he mixes everything, and I do the videos. I direct and edit the videos. So it's just really kind of cool. Sure. Our skills came out a little bit, and we're able to put it towards our band. Which is a big help in this day and age, because everything is about platforms and streaming and all that. And there's no real labels anymore. You don't need one. Not for a band like us. We like to do everything ourselves because there's no stress. And I was going to do the soundtrack for 30 Years of Drummer. There was a label that contacted me that I initially signed with, and before pandemic, and found out that they're just a fraud. So so that was a little disheartening. That was recently, within the last couple of months, because everything was mellow, because during the pandemic I was just recording and whatever. And then once we started to get release dates, all of a sudden their fraud showed up, they didn't know what they were doing. And I heard from other artists that were signed to them, and they were stealing money from them, and all this crap went down. And I said to myself, like, this is the reason why I didn't want to be in the music business in the first place. It's like, it's like, why? I don't understand the end game to fraud. It makes no sense to me. It's like, you're gonna get found out. We're talking about releasing something, and you don't know how to release it. You don't have an office. You don't have a business. You have nobody that knows what they're doing.
How did you get hooked up with them?
It was a long story, but basically somebody that I knew years and years ago contacted me. He was from Florida, and we had some history where I worked at a drum shop, and now I don't even know if that's the story either, because he's full of shit. Like everything he says, he lies. So I don't even know if that's a story, but I do remember this incident that he talked about. And, we started talking again after, it was like 30 years ago, when he had walked into a drum shop to buy a drum set, and I worked there, but I was building drums, and they wouldn't serve him because they thought he was a derelict. It was like, he looks like me, it's like, he's got long hair. He's a drummer. So I went out there, and it was my only sale. He sold him a drum set. And then he contacted me, and he goes, "Hey man, I bought that drum set from you from Resurrection Drums 30 years ago." He goes, "Are you selling your drums? Because I'd like to buy one of the kits if you are." And we started talking, and he goes, "You don't have a label and all this other shit." And as it turns out, it's like right when we're about to start putting stuff out, I get on the phone with them, and it's like they have this, hack dude that I'm arguing with, that knows nothing, has done nothing in his life, yet he has all these opinions about my band and songs. And I was just like, they're telling me all these outrageous numbers. Well, it's going to cost about $50,000 to put. I was like, what are you even talking about? Like 50,000. And then, so I got my publicist, Barbara, who, has been my publicist for 10 plus years. And I go, can you call this label and find out like what the deal is? I go, because I'm a little confused here. I said, because when I put my last record out, not Red Dragon Cartel, but like, Skid Row or Saigon Kick, we had a label, and we didn't have streaming. I don't know what it is today. I don't know, there's no record sales anymore. So how does this all work? And Barbara knows, because that's what she does. And she talked to the owner, this guy, for like 5 or 10 minutes. It was like, yeah, I don't know what he just said. He just talked in circles for
no.
And he has no idea what he's doing. Yeah, he told me it was going to be about 50 grand to put this out and all this other crap. I put out Revolution by myself. The band did. It cost $17. $17.
Right.
So I don't, I got very upset about that and just called him out. And then I over the holidays, I did a search on him and found a 30-page folder, his arrests, his fraud, got arrested for stealing money, got arrested for drug dealing, got arrested for some other tickets, and just I mean, it's a rap sheet as long as 95. And now he's disappeared. I don't know where, like I noticed that they still have my name up on the site, not on the site, but on Facebook. And I've tried numerous times contacting Facebook to have them take me off of it. Because what had happened was they were using me. And this is how sad this is. They're using me to attract other artists, and they were making those artists pay them to help them put out stuff. So one artist in particular, I got to know, his name is Sean Drake, and he is a veteran. He went like 2 tours and fought, in Desert Storm. They ripped him off for $10,000. He was sending them money every month. He would send them $2,500, and they promised to put his record out, to get his merchandise, to do all this consulting and they did nothing. They did nothing. They took $10,000 from him, and then finally, and instead of working for him or doing anything, they just start sending nasty email. Hey man, I didn't get your payment. And he's like, I'm not sending you any money. And when I heard that, he's a veteran. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a person who has sacrificed his life for us, and they stole $10,000 from him.
Unbelievable.
And then I heard from one of his other artists, who's a comic, and they took her money. This is a broke comic who's just starting in the business. They fed her a dream. She ended up sending them a few $1,000s for merchandise. And I go, why in the world would you want merchandise done when you're not known? The idea is, if they're going to take you in and they have wisdom to develop you, then I'm not even for that to pay for, but at least it's almost justified, where they can go, all right, we have these talent people in place. We have this in place for you. We just need you to do this, and this, if you invest a little money into it, because their whole rap was whatever you put in will match, and all they were doing was pocketing money. They never did anything for anybody. And when I found that out, I went nuts, but they were using me as the big get.
Yeah.
So
because you have a name.
Right. So this guy, Sean, was like, yeah, I heard, that's why I signed up, because I wanted to write songs with you. They guaranteed that I'd be writing songs with you and you might produce something for me. And I was like, dude, I never even heard of you, other than I heard there was a guy who got their face tattooed, but he was a drug addict. So they dropped him. And as a recovered drug addict, I don't take that shit lightly. I don't like people talking shit about drug addicts. Okay.
Right.
Because, it's a disease. All right. And I'm a recovered drug addict. So, when you're talking about like so cavalier at a table, and this scumbag is a guy who's been arrested more times and for drug dealing.
Yeah.
And he's talking down about a guy being a drug dealer, being a drug addict. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe did you put the drugs into his face? Because you're the dealer. I mean, like what? Like, I don't know, but I'm saying I found that ridiculous. And then when I told them to hire my friend to do not my actual publicist, but another one that I know, he went on and tell me about her mental health issues. I said, how dare you talk about somebody's mental health issues to me. Number one, you don't even know that I know her like that. You know, whether I know she does or not is irrelevant. That's like a HIPAA violation. A person on a company, a boss in a company is talking about their employee, about mental health condition to outside people. I mean, who does this shit? And what it was is it's typical sociopath stuff. They couldn't deliver, so they're pointing fingers to about everybody. And so I you know, that was my, when it came to the thing, I said, you know what, I'm not doing record companies anymore. This is like ridiculous. And this just happened. It's still fresh. In fact, I emailed them today to tell them to take my name off the damn page. And if they don't, I'm gonna unload on Facebook and have all my friends and fans go to their page and unload on them and report it. It's like, I shouldn't have to do this, you know?
Right.
And it's like a scumbag till the end of time. And the label is Trident Records, and they're to use records in their title is a joke, you know. I just don't want them to rip anybody off on my account because they're, you know, I have to at some point put a word out and go, look, this label, do not take anything, because they contact people going, hey, we got Phil Varone, we're putting out his thing. You want to hang out? You want to write songs with him? You want to meet him? Oh, just send us $2,500 a month, and then we'll do it. It's like, this is like a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
You know?
How are they not been arrested?
Well, I don't know, because it just went down, but I filed with the FBI.
Okay.
I had Sean there, you know, the guy that ripped off, file with the banks and all that stuff that sent the money, because he has paper trails with everything.
Sure.
I filed with the Better Business Bureau. I did everything I can legally, you know.
Yeah.
I talked to an attorney, and he said just to, you know, see what they do at this point.
Sure.
And but I'm a guy that I have a lot of time on my hands to put people out of business.
Yeah.
And when you're using my name in a scam, I got a big problem with that.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I'm not talking about violent shit. I'm talking about legal stuff where I will destroy people, you know, and that's what I'm going to do. And because they don't deserve a second chance. This guy's been ripping people off for years. I mean, he's a felon. He's a prisoner. He got out of prison. He went to prison for lying, stealing, and drug dealing. But he didn't tell me up front, because if I'm going to go into business with him, I think I should know this. Because
I mean, he's not going to tell you that.
Well, but I mean, you know, and it was a $10 search, basically. You know, going into records and trying to find out who this person was, and looking all the liens on him, and you know, and it makes sense, because as you know, the story unfolds, everybody comes out of the woods, because, you know, I'm sure he's intimidated people, and they just waited for someone like me, who was like, I don't give a shit. I am not afraid of anybody. I don't care what you think you are or who you know. I don't give a shit about that stuff. I will bury you legally, easily, because no one understands how easy it is to bury someone legally. You know, because if you have a case, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about making anything up. I don't do that. But I have, you know, and that's it. So yeah, that was my, that was the one thing that I said, you know, I'm not going to allow this though to ruin what we set out to do, you know, and that is to put out a cool documentary. And I wasn't even going to talk about like this label, but it irked me today, because I started thinking about it, and I just don't want other people to get ripped off by it. You know,
sure. No, that's good. Yeah.
And then that's why, you know, that's one of the reasons. So it's, you know, Trident Records. That's the name. Trident Records, tridentrecords.net. Stay the hell away from it. It's a friggin' scam. Yeah. And they have nobody that'll help you. All they're going to do is try to ask you for money. And you know the deal in business. If they're asking you for money, you know it's bullshit. Yeah. If you sign with a label or, you know, an agency, you know, this man, we'll manage you. You just send us $5,000 to, you know, the only money you give somebody is an attorney for a friggin', you know, for a retainer. That's about the only time you should exchange money, not to agents, not to, you know, record companies, because they prey on that stuff. They prey on people's dreams. And that's awful, especially using me, you know, as the big get. Yeah. And, you know, but it's, and they they don't even attempt to know what they're doing. That's what kills me. Because once I started having discussions with them, I'm like, like insulting me. I was like, I'm the only one in this conversation that has a career in the music business. Well, who are you people?
It's amazing that somebody would try something like that knowing they don't know what to do. Because I mean,
Well,
eventually it's going to get to a point where you're going to have to do something. And if you don't know what to do, I mean,
yeah.
what are you going to do?
Well, that's what happened.
Yeah.
They had a 2-year float basically. And then when I would call and go, like for instance, I got my publicist involved, and she's a publicist for many big bands, and knows the ins and outs of the labels and how to put songs on the radio and all that stuff, right? So I said, well, get a hold of their publicist, because you need a radio person, and then you have a public. They don't do it together. She was going to handle my press, and that's when it all started. So the point is that when they were finally confronted with, hey, how do you do this? What do you got planned? So but something like that, where I said my publicist is going to be able to help you launch this single, which is going to benefit them. They wouldn't. It took 3 days for them to even get in touch with her.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, 3 days?
Yeah.
And I'm sending emails going, this is email number 3 to get a hold of my publicist. And it was like, it was always an excuse. It was always this. It was always that. It was always, I'm getting on a plane. I mean, it's a typical scam thing. If you ever watched the Scam Show, it's a complete scam. Yeah. And, and it's, I just don't get it. I don't know what the end game is in this shit. Yeah. Because they're going to be found out. And when it comes to me, it's like, I can't stand scammers. I don't like people who steal. I don't like any of that shit. Yeah. I can't, we have just dealt with these politicians on both sides. All we do is get lied to on a daily basis, both sides. That's all we don't even know. We're Americans. We don't even know what's going on half the time because everybody's full of shit. I don't want to have business like that.
No way.
And I can control that, and, but when people are just caught up in lying, it's just like, it's sociopathic. When you talk to someone and they talk for like an hour and you're like, what did they just say? Because they talked in circles. Like, they don't even know what they said. You ask them a question and it's like, yeah, but what did you just say? Yeah. Yeah. I don't even, and you hang up a phone an hour later and you're like, yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. What happened?
What's next? Yeah. Like what happened? Or if I don't even know anything that I asked. I got no answers. It was just circles and circles and circles and circles. So yeah, I don't know. Well,
but I'm sorry that happened to you, man. That sucks.
Well, they're sorry. They're gonna be sorry.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So when you were going into this documentary, you talked about how you were going to retire from drums. Yeah. But now that you've switched courses, did that change the direction of the documentary?
A little bit, yeah. Well, a little bit. I mean, I'm with Panic Boom, we're putting stuff out slow and having fun with it, right? We don't need Panic Boom to sell like we did when I was in Saigon Kick, because we all have careers and, we have, we're not starving and stuff like that. Like it's a different time now. So what happens after this? It's kind of like we just leaving it wide open for interpretation. Like, hey, whatever happens, happens. I hope great things happen for it, but in no way are we relying on it or do it. So as far as playing is concerned, I don't know if I'm going to continue playing, but it'll definitely, that segment of me playing that song that was the catalyst to me playing again, we shot. So it will be seen in the doc. And I'll explain what happened after that, because when that gave me the juice to do the song Revolution, which was the only thing we were going to do from Panic Boom. We're just going to redo Revolution because we wrote Revolution in '94, and I thought it would be cool to put on a soundtrack the demo version that we did in '94, and then do the modern version, like when everybody's older and can play now and all that stuff. And that's how it started. But a funny thing happened. It was with COVID, it was kind of like we all sat around and somebody was like, oh, I got some songs. I'm like, yeah, I got some songs. Like, oh, you got some songs. So we haven't been in a room since '94. So we just started sending each other ideas and before long, we had a record of full of songs, and we have 2 records full actually, but right now we recorded about 14 complete. Chris McClernand he's mixing the second single right now, and yeah, we're just gonna slow roll it, man, soft open, as we say, and see what happens. And if it goes, it goes.
Yeah. So your first one, Revolution, is available now.
It's available now.
Through your Bandcamp. I bought it through your Bandcamp, but it is also on.
That.
Yeah, it's also on streaming, correct?
It's on all the streaming platforms. In fact, what we did is I built panicboomband.com, a landing page that's kind of like our hub. So anybody goes there, it'll take them to every streaming that we have. We have every streaming there, every streaming platform listed, including YouTube, our Bandcamp, our Facebooks, all our socials, and all our streaming is there.
What is it? Panic Boom what?
Panicboomband.com.
Okay.
And that's the easiest way to get a hold of us. There's a mailer on there. My publicist is on there. Anything you need is going to be on that page. I'm currently updating it with our interviews now, and keeping it all current. But that's pretty much all the news, and everything will be there. So and Bandcamp also has our video on the homepage. So even though it's on YouTube and it's on Bandcamp, if you want to see the video, it's on the website as well. So you don't have to go crazy looking around. Well, I appreciate that is buying the song. And I want to say this real quick to the fans, including yourself who did that, is that the first day that it went on for sale, and it's $1, right? And we just, you leave it up to fans if they want to pay $1. And I personally want to even take the $1 off and just give it to fans and let them decide. If you like it, pay a quarter or $1,000. We don't care. But the first day when whoever bought it first, I got to look on the thing. I took a snapshot of it. I sent it to the band thread, the text we have, and I was more excited about that than I had been about Saigon Kick or anything, because that just made me just really happy that we created something that was really not even an idea, that we were going to do this a few years back. We wrote this song in '94. We did it ourselves in this technology, and then somebody bought it. And even though out of $1, you get 75 cents, I was more proud to split 75 cents 5 ways than anything I've ever done in my career. And it was a really cool moment, because it was ours, and it was all ours. Yeah. And there was nobody had their hand. That's exciting. And it was cool, and if it makes, $10 or 200,000, it doesn't matter. To me, it was about that. But I loved how the fans are just kind of just buying it the way they feel. It's totally cool. But yeah, I think I want to do that with Revolution, or maybe even the next single is kind of just offer it and say, hey, if you like it, pay $1 or 10 or not. Yeah, we appreciate it. It's 30 years of fans that we really appreciate. So I just wanted to shout out to everybody, because it doesn't go unnoticed, and we're very grateful for that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, tell me about, the writing of this. You mentioned that you did it each in your own places, right? Yeah. The parts, and then send it all to Chris, I'm assuming, to mix. Yeah, Chris is going to mix everything. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, because Sean, the guitar player, would send me like guitar ideas, and then I would arrange them, and then I'd set a drum grid to it. I'd play to it. I play my drum parts, and I'll send it to Chris, and Chris would play play a bass. And then he would send it back to the guitar player. The guitar player would play onto us, and then Randy, the singer, he would come in, because he lives in LA. So he would come into Vegas from time to time and sing, or we'd had him sing in his closet in his iPhone, and we use those. And, people laugh, crazy, but it was like, it's a digital recording, and in his closet, it's like the clothes are there, soundproofed it. Yeah. He got a good, clean recording, and we use that. So that's how we did it. And we just went around, and then Chris is really an amazing engineer. Amazing, he's amazing talent, artist or songwriter, engineer. We were trying to find someone to mix Revolution. We gave it to somebody to mix, and they didn't quite get it. Still great engineer, but just didn't capture the what you were looking for. Yeah, and that happens, it's no big deal. And I've since used the same person on other stuff, because, but this Revolution was important.
And man, and then that fake label said, "Oh, we'll mix it," and they,
Oh,
well, of
geez.
course they didn't. They don't have anybody to mix it. They're a fake label. So after my frustration was like, I said, "Chris, you want to try to mix this? I mean, just, you want to try it?" And he's like, "Oh, I got a couple of days. Let me see." And he started mixing it, and whoa, it was like, okay, yeah. I mean, of course he knows the song. He has 30 years and he knows everything in and out of it. And I think that's what we needed. And he just took the reins, and I said, "Do you want to do the whole record? Do you want to produce it and stuff?" Because his talent is so off the hook. I mean, the guy, I mean, just incredible stuff. And that's how it came out. So yeah, we wrote all these songs to the point where we had to stop writing. We were like, come on, we have to finish stuff. It's like we constantly, but that was a cycle that we did. We get on FaceTimes or, Zoom or whatever, and just talk through stuff and figure it out. And then Chris would send it over, and yeah, and it's a band. There's 5 decisions. There's nobody's leading this band. Chris and I are from Saigon Kick. That's what's known. But as far as the decisions, we have a group thread. We get on the phone, whatever. We make the call. We talk it out, find out what's going to work, and then we go with it. And so we're fortunate. And then I'm doing all the videos. So because that's what I do. And it's a process that's really fun because it's all hours, nothing's out of house. And I think that the only thing we were worried about was being too close to the project, but we're not. Surprisingly, we can definitely look back at it and go, hey, and we'll call on our friends to help us. Bass from Shinedown helped out with Revolution, and some of our other friends. And it's fun. It's fun this way.
So this is the first time you've done it this way?
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing too, like that I noticed, I was watching the Beatles documentary, which really was incredible for me because Let It Be is my favorite record of all time, as well as the song. So to watch them create this record was almost too much for me. I found myself like going through this roller coaster ride. And what I found really, what I loved, I guess, the most about the documentary was the love between the band. It's something that Paul, you could see it in their eyes. They loved each other so very much, and they have this bond. They've been through something together. Like nobody can explain or feel what they felt. Think about that. No band in the world will ever feel or experience what they went through. And I love that about the documentary, and that's what we have in Boom. We have guys that love each other and really respect each other. And doing it this way is the first time I've ever done it this way, where you have people who I played for Chris, I played for Randy, I played for Tony, I played for Sean. I wasn't playing for fans. I was playing for them because I wanted to impress my brothers, and I respected them and loved them so much. I just want them to be excited about it. And that's how we did the record. And that's why it shows that way, But it was the first time we ever did it without being in a room together. It was crazy.
Well, it came out great. I mean, I told Chris, I said, man, the bass tone, the guitar sounds, you're playing your drums. It's awesome.
Yeah. Chris is funny too, because he will not release anything before it's ready. No matter how much I beg him, I'm like, dude, just let me hear the rough mix. No, you're not getting it. And Randy would call me, the singer. Can you call Chris? I'm like, I'm not calling him. He's just going to make him crazy. So he's not giving it to you. Forget it, But when he sends it, then he puts his seal on it. It's a mother.
It's good.
And it's a monster. And I think the discovery of all this is what was really great. And COVID is an awful time. And I like how we used it, the time, because we were all dealt with this. And I mean, I have it right. I just got over COVID. I mean, like today is the first day I tested negative. I still have a head cold and all that stuff. But I had it for a week, and it's that fast, right? So with the way COVID was going, I just was like, well, we're going to reinvent. We're going to do stuff during this. I'm not going to sit in my house for 2 years waiting for something to be over or happen. Let's just create and do stuff. And that's what we were able to do. So in a weird way, without COVID, I don't know if we would have had this record. You know, so it's just
Right.
like this, and I'm not glorifying COVID in any way, but without COVID, we probably wouldn't have had this, or I wouldn't have been able to study the things that I've studied and learned and all those things as well. So you kind of gotta, you know, it killed so many people and their deaths can't go in vain. So I'm happy that we were able to at least use that time to create something and go forward and use it to go forward. You know, that's how I look at it.
So when you release the full record, will there be any live shows, or is it just going to be a audio recording?
Yeah, I don't know. We
Not
get
sure.
asked that, you know. I like to play with these guys. I like to get a show in. But Chris and I laughed because he was talking about his buddy that created the Tupac and the Ronnie James Dio hologram for the tour. And I'm like, you think you can create two more? Because so I can stay home. But I like to play with these boys, you know, because I'm really proud and I love them dearly. And at touring, I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see. Chris and I left it open. It's like if this stuff does so well that people want to see us, we'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, if it warrants a tour. If not, I'm good with like kind of staying home and not being in the spotlight and stuff anymore. I'm 54 and I want to enjoy my life without the stress of things. And the only reason why I would play is because there's no stress in this band.
Yeah.
You know, but I do like home and we'll see how it goes. Who knows what's going to happen and what's ahead of us? Let's see. We're never say never, and we're not saying no. We're just saying, hey, let's see how it goes, and that'll dictate what our future is regarding you know, touring and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, tell me about your video editing that you mentioned. Tell me about that. I mean,
well,
you just started learning?
Well, I've been editing probably for, I don't know, 5 years or so. And doing it in a non-professional sense. You know, I just picked it up. I've been directing stuff for probably 10 years. And when I did the Waking Up Dead video, a documentary back in 2006 with my director friend, Fabio Giuffè, he was editing, right? And I would sit next to him and I'd watch him edit, and I was editing with him in the sense of ideas, you know, but we'd always butt heads because he was an editor and a director. And I'm just like, yeah, dude, but this is still my documentary. We got to do it this way. And we could never really, we'd always butt heads. He never wanted to let me get the edit in there. And then, you know, he'd call me later and be like, hey, I did it your way. It's right. I'm like, yeah, I know it was right. You should have did it the first time.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. So I just kind of got fed up with that, you know, and I was like, I don't want anybody, I don't have to tell anybody anymore, like to do stuff. I'm just going to do it. So I started getting into it. And then when COVID hit, I got the pro systems and I started studying and I started on Pro Tools. I'm sorry, on the Final Cut Pro X, and, you know, mastered that and got my certificate for that. And then I'm working on Premiere Pro right now as well. And I take a class for that. I've been studying with that as well. So I can get certified on that, but I actually have a regular job as an editor at a digital media company. So I do that, you know, and what's great about it is that it's allowing me to learn how things are done today, how advertising works, and knowing all the analytics to, you know, selling something. And eventually my goal is to work into feature films like Hollywood, into Avid Systems, into the big, because I want to edit films. And this course that I'm taking right now allows you to go in and buy a film. It's really interesting. You can buy a film that's already made, and it's I'm talking like, you know, $29. You buy all the raw footage, and then you re-edit it, and you get graded on it or do whatever. So I think I'm gonna do that. Idea. Yeah, it's really cool because the director of the film gets to see it and stuff, you know, so it gives you a chance to kind of get to people that you normally wouldn't get to. And I have director friends. I have a lot of famous friends that are actors and all that crap, but I'm talking about, I just want to get in there as me. Like, I just want to be a guy. Like, I don't want to be a rock star. I don't want to be a connector. I just want to go, I want someone to look at my work and go, I want to hire that guy. because of my editing. I don't want them to look in the background and go, oh, well, he was in a band, so let's get him into the company. And I suck.
Right.
I want to do it by myself and with talent. And man, I love editing. I love editing as much as I love playing drums. I love editing because it is a creation of art. To me, it's like a great producer mixing a record and saving it. An editor will save a movie. It's our vision. It's the director's vision, but how do you listen to the director and then you go, okay, well, how do I create this now and make it not only his vision but make it better? And I'm fascinated with that, and I've been fascinated. I spend so much time editing and directing. So I have 2 videos. I'm actually directing 2 music videos this weekend, and I'm going to be outside of working. So I'm kind of excited. It's just been my life now. And it was out of the blue because I know I wanted to do it, but then I just picked it up, and I just, when you pick something up and you're like, yeah, I'm pretty good. I like this. There's something about this that I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. And so the guy that's editing my video, my waking 30 Years a Drummer documentary, he's like one of my best friends, and he's an incredible editor. Like, he's been doing it for 30 plus years. Incredible talent. And I send him edits and he goes, all right, well, you mastered that. So what else can I help you with? He just,
so you don't even need him anymore.
Yeah. And I love that because I value and cherish his opinion. So, and I told him, I go, look, I want to go into this. Do you really think that I can do this? Because think about that. At 54, I'm changing a career. We're coming out of a COVID, I really want to be behind the camera. I don't want to be in front of it. I just want to be, when the job hired me, I did the interviews and stuff, and I got it over my work. They don't know anything about me, And the hiring person said, so what do you see you getting out of this company? Like, what's your ultimate goal? Like, what do you want to get? And I said, I want an office Christmas party. And they go, an office Christmas party? And just started laughing. And I said, yeah, that's what I want. I said, yeah, I want to make money and I'm going to learn too, but I really want that office Christmas party. And they said, well, I don't like, I go, I'm a musician, and I don't talk about the bands. I said, but I was always playing in bands. I'm a hired drummer. So I play drums, so I never had an office. I never went to an office. I haven't had a job in 30 years,
Yeah.
And that's what that basically explains my thinking. Like, that's what I want out of life now. I just want an office Christmas party, and I'm friggin' content.
Yeah.
Because I've had everything else, and I'm very grateful that I've had all this stuff. But I think it's important now that I just want an office Christmas party. It's like, I know that sounds weird. And everybody that has
awesome.
Everybody that has one is probably like, dude, you trust me, you're not missing anything. But I am. I'm missing a lot of things. That's what I want now, because I had the other side of the spectrum. So I just want to be a normal person that does something I love.
How long have you been working at this company?
I just got recently, right after COVID kind of hit. It was like probably the last 2 months or whatever, I started really looking, because I didn't think I was good enough to get hired by anything. And I was like, let me give it a shot. You have to go through all these tests and like try stuff. Yeah. And so it's taken some time, but it's recent. It's all recent stuff, and it's kind of fun. And
did you get to have your Christmas party this year?
Not yet. No. It's just started. Yeah, they waited after the holiday. So, but yeah,
well, that's fun. I mean, editing is awesome. That's one of the reasons I started doing video on these podcasts. When you were on the first time, it was audio only.
Yeah,
we did it through the phone.
Right.
And so I'm just learning editing these videos.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll have to watch it. You'll see. I do a little bit of edit, nothing fancy, nothing big.
What do you edit on?
I use Sony Vegas.
Okay.
Okay. And the only thing that frustrates me about it is it crashes all the time.
Yeah. Is it a free software?
No, I paid for it.
Oh, you did? Yeah. I haven't used Sony Vegas. I don't know I've never used that one, but because the 3 standards that we use is Final Cut, Premiere, and Avid. Those are the three. The Avid is the one I'm going to get into next. I have a home effects one that I just got as well. That is kind of what they use for the Matrix or Star Wars. Like it's that kind of stuff.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's intense.
Wow.
So I'm doing one at a time. But I just, I don't necessarily want to get into the effects side so much. I really just want to edit raw movie footage, like a old school independent where the editing makes the movie, without the effects and the blowing up all that crap, and that's really what I'd like to do is that kind of editing. So, but I do have that other system, but I'm doing one thing at a time. But I will tell you that editing is editing. In other words, no matter what software you're on, you're doing the same purpose, which is editing. You're putting pieces and telling a story. How you do it is what separates the systems, obviously. The Final Cut has its way, Premiere has its way. But ultimately, it's about the idea, because what separates all the editors? Well, it's the idea. How does the editor see it? And I think that's where the gift comes. If you have that, where you could see a scene and you take that scene and there's a certain thing in that scene that's going to make that scene jump, but and nobody else sees it, but you do. And when you put it together, it jump, like the people like, whoa, I think that's where my satisfaction comes from. That's my gratification. That's my drum solo. That's my, and I equate it with the arts. So I think it's an amazing thing I love it. I really do. It's like, it's a huge passion. I recommend everybody to edit. I think it's fun.
Very fun.
I always see the phones have these crazy editing apps where you can make people disappear and waves. Right? And I'm just like, my God, they're trying to eliminate the editor. And then I sit for a second and go, well, not really. Because then the people that are going to happen. Yeah, well, it can't, because the people that are using those apps don't know anything other than, I'm going to make myself disappear. This is cool. Right. But I mean, in the context of telling a story or doing that without the app is the question. Can you make someone disappear? Right. And, I can, so you gotta, that's the idea of it, I think. So,
it's fun. I mean, I'm just learning, don't really know what I'm doing, but it's fun.
But that's what you do, though. You know what you're doing. And I think that, this course that I'm taking now is an extensive course. It's lasting, it's a while. It's going to be a while, but when I'm done with it, I'll learn. It's all about the cloud, all about the Premiere cloud. And within that cloud is Premiere Pro. It's Photoshop. It's After Effects. It's building apps. It's code for websites. So it's going to basically, I'll be certified for all that. And that is when you look at jobs and stuff, you're talking about six figures, stuff. It's really exciting, to think about it. And once I'm certified for all that, then I'm going to go for the movie editing, because I think it's all relevant. When you're getting into this level of editing, you have to know pretty much everything on so many systems. So I can, it's a lot of information. But like I said, when you're breaking it down just on the crude sense, it's just editing.
Yeah. Which one are you finding that you're liking the best so far, the Premiere or Final Cut? Or
I do. Final Cut was really cool. I like Final Cut, but it's more, to me, Final Cut is a it's like it's an iMovie on steroids. If you ever edit an iMovie, that's a really good way to start. I think iMovie's fun because it's a Mac. Everything I do is I have Mac, but iMovie's cool because you can get in there and it's set up in a professional sense, but it's for beginners, like it really simple. You can maneuver. You get to know, you can know the keystrokes and all that stuff. So when you move to Final Cut, you'll know some shortcuts, you'll know some keystrokes, and you'll know some tools and what you can do. And then you get to know Final Cut. It goes into the pro stuff, like into the pro, what you can really do with that software I think is a key. So I was into Final Cut. And like I said, I got my certificate for that. So when I started Premiere, it took like a day or so to kind of get my bearings, because Premiere is set up a lot differently. but now that I'm in it, I'm like, I'm editing in both right now, because I have a project in Final Cut that I'm working on, a music video, and I'm working in Premiere right now with the courses and all that stuff. So I'm doing both, and I'm finding Premiere more fun. It has a lot more stuff to do. I don't know how to use all of it yet, but I mean, for what so far, I'm finding it very easy to use. And now it's just a matter of mastering their software. And knowing
Adobe's always had great products. I got a degree in computer graphics like years ago, and started with Adobe products, and I used Premiere back then too a little bit, but was more into Photoshop. And I've always been happy with them, so I've been thinking about making the switch to Premiere.
Then I recommend it for sure. If you're familiar with Photoshop, because as you know, with Adobe, it's about tools. It's about muscle memory for tools. And that was the first, when I got into Photoshop initially, I was like, Jesus Christ, they got all these tools. Like, where do you go? But then, once you get around it, as you know, you just start doing it naturally. You go right there and you do the grabber and you do that, and you do this and the rectangle. It's like, oh, it makes sense all of a sudden. And, but there was that learning curve of like, hey, what the hell do I do? You're looking at all these tools. And then, again, it's just a matter of using it. And so Premiere is basically Premiere editing is Photoshop video, basically, with a little more hook to it. But if you can get around Photoshop, you'll be able to get around Premiere. That's what I had to learn. I had to learn the tools of that system. And it's all relevant across the board. And then of course not getting the keystrokes confused, the shortcuts, because with Final Cut they're different. So once you get those all done, then and now I'm finding, with Premiere, it's like, oh, I wish Final Cut had this. That's what I feel. I found myself saying all the time.
You're probably hitting wrong keys, and you probably hitting your shortcut keys in one program that should have been in the other, and messing your whole video.
Well, the good part is that you can always go back. Once it's like the Z. It's
Control Z.
Command Z. It's Command on Mac.
I got PC.
Right. So it's Command Z, and you go back, and it's no harm, no foul. We're
talking all this geeky shit right now. People are like, what the hell, these guys?
Yeah, they already fell asleep. But on the funny part is that on Pro Tools have the same keystrokes as Final Cut, but with Pro Tools, when you want to copy and paste, you can, you light up whatever you want to copy, you right click, copy it, right? In Final Cut, no, it's Command C to copy it, right? So I find myself trying to light up, a thing to copy it. Like, so sometimes I get your bearings gets weird because you're in 3 different systems. But yeah, it's fun because ultimately the finished product is that's it. But if you want to go see some of the edits, it's on Rotten Brain Creations is the name of my company. So it's rottenbraincreations.com. And you can see I do all the, I worked for a company called Champion Lighting, and I did all their streaming stuff. I did all their advertising. I did their commercials within the streams. I did all the color correction and color grading for their actual streaming event. So I did all that stuff. But I have all that stuff on my site, all the cut downs and stuff.
That's cool. So, I saw some videos you did a while back. I don't know if you were just learning and testing things, but you were like mopping the floor and.
Those are just my stupid ones. I was just doing those.
You're building stuff or something. In a bunch of videos.
Phil Can Build. Phil Can Build was my pandemic boring my show. So I'm like, you know what? I'm Italian. I'm predisposed to build. I'm a laborer, and I was like, you know what? Let's shoot some stuff and have fun. And and called it Phil Can Build. With a question mark. And that's when I really kind of first started editing on Final Cut. We started doing weird shorts, like we did on my YouTube page. I make stuff out of dumb stuff. Like I was up in the attic, right? Because I was trying to fix the air vent that went into the dryer, right? So I'm up in the attic And I'm crawling around, and my girlfriend goes up there with her camera, with the iPhone, and she starts filming me. I don't know this. She's just up there, right, filming. And I'm going around, and so I see her, and I pull my pants down and put the crack of my ass out. And it was an old Saturday Night Live sketch called the Norge. They called it the Norge, but it was the plumber came in, and it was fixing the refrigerator, and Bill Murray and oh, what's the name? Was married to Gene Wilder. They're cracking up because it was Dan Aykroyd would bend over and his crack of his ass would shut, and they call it the Norge, because the refrigerator was called the Norge, So the crack of the ass has been called the Norge since the 70s.
Yeah.
So I made a horror movie called The Norge because my ass crack was out. So it's basically my ass is the horror, is like,
yeah.
And so those are the old
funny.
ones that I did like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like just screwing around when I first started editing.
Yeah.
Like seriously editing. And and I go back and watch that stuff and I'm like, oh God, they're so terrible editing wise. But at the time I thought they were great.
Well, it's just like music, right? You go back and listen to some of your early stuff. You're like, what in the hell?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to re-record, my first couple of records, but it is what it is. It was still good enough to get signed, so I think that we're our worst critics.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
all right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you've been busy. I know. Oh, you know what?
I forgot to get my mug for this.
Where's your
mug?
I
have my coffee mug. It's
Where
inside. It's inside, and I was having a coffee in here, and I forgot to put it in the damn mug.
You got to have coffee on the Rock and Roll Coffee Show.
All right, you know what? Can you wait? I'll go get my mug. At least I can show it for Christ. Or I got to do some pictures for you.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So I found this. I don't know if you've ever seen it or remember this thing.
Yes, I do actually.
Yeah. I found this. For some reason, I kept everything from when I was a kid. So this is a free official Saigon Kick fanzine.
Right. So you're the one that got it.
1991.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I got it, but
I think Saigon Kick, I think they handed those out, the label maybe?
Well, I lived in Florida, so I don't know. I don't know if I picked it up at a Peaches or.
You know what? That's what it was.
It might have been sitting there with the free mags.
I think
but I got to ask. Where are you?
Right. You just passed me.
Yeah. There you are.
Yeah.
Why are you eating your rosary beads?
I have no idea. That was the problem back then.
Why was that cool?
It wasn't, as you could tell. Not many things that I did back then was not cool because we had no idea what we were doing. I laugh at that stuff because it's kind of like, we were kids.
Yeah.
And, we got a record deal and we're sitting there and they put rosaries in your mouth. That's cool. It's not cool. It's stupid. So, but those are the things that I look back and go, we weren't kind of like, you kind of grow into your image, like when I started getting tattooed and stuff like that. So that was kind of like, what do we do? And I don't know how that even came about because I'm an atheist. So the idea of putting, like crosses in my mouth is weird. And
who shot those photos? Do you remember?
Yeah, that was David. God, what was his last name? He was a brilliant photographer. He was a fashion photographer. And the photos were amazing. I mean, there's some really nice shots that I have from the desert. We shot it in California on the Salt Flats, I think it was, where we went to. And he was a fashion photographer, and he just, he did a really nice job regarding that. But it was just kind of, that band we were young. We had no direction. The guy who was supposedly our manager was probably the worst manager in history.
Yeah.
Warren Wyatt. And he was just a terrible, awful dude. He was basically a drug dealer who decided that he wanted to manage bands. So he had no direction whatsoever. And he didn't give us any direction. When you're a young band like that, you got to look to people who you think know more than you. Right. And when you don't, you get, rosaries in your mouth.
Well, he was big in Tampa. Didn't he have Sabotage or?
He had Crimson Glory.
Crimson Glory. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He is by far the worst manager in history. And later on, I was, when I joined Skid Row, I was walking with Doc McGee. We're on the Kiss tour and we're walking around the venue and he goes to me, so why didn't you let me manage Saigon Kick? I said, me? What are you talking? He goes, yeah, I wanted Saigon Kick immediately. As soon as I heard the band, I wanted Saigon Kick, and Jason Flom blocked him from him managing us because Warren was Jason's friend.
Yeah.
And I was livid from that because
your career would have probably been so different.
Completely different, actually. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But I think knowing what Doc touched, was gigantic. And, this is a guy that, I got to know quite well. And, on the Kiss tour, he was backstage and I went to go talk to him and he goes, he's on the phone. He's like, I don't have the time. I can't do this. No, I'm sorry. No. Hangs up the phone. He goes, that's Christina Aguilera. I don't have the time for her. I was like, okay, but he was one of those guys that made stuff happen, so I'm sure that he would have stopped excess spending, stupid decisions like going to Sweden to record records, dumb crap like that you need guidance because, of course, a new band is going to try to get away with murder. That's the idea, like you get your dream. But you also have to need someone that's level-headed that goes, no,
you need that direction.
So that's basically who the hell knows? Coulda, shoulda, woulda. We're here today.
Well, you seem like you're in a great place today.
Absolutely. No doubt. Look, you got to take what happened and you got to use it for, whatever you do. You have to be wise, and I spent a lot of years negative and angry about the music business. I spent many years just, and just the story I just told you is one, again, that even today, but I'm not going to let that do anything to me. I'm going to use my experience and my, just my annoyed and my disappointment to teach people a lesson or keep people away from it. But in no way is it going to stop me from doing anything, and it only goes to show that no matter where you go in life, you're always going to find somebody that's going to scam you. You're going to find someone that's going to disappoint you. And it doesn't matter how much you weed out people or try, you're going to be, subjected to it or, so you just got to be careful. So I'm just taking that route now where it's like, I'm letting it roll off of me. And if it's something that's in front of me that's going to try to stop something, I will go after it full guns blazing. I will I will roll anything over if it so chooses to stop. It would be the worst decision of their lives because I am not in the mood anymore. And with all this influence, experience and all these years of what we know, knowledge, we're just doing things calmly now. So I just want calm. That's all. Great. So so when it comes down to it, and again, I think that finding editing and something new is also very cool too. And I feel very grateful about that. So
well, that's great. And I'm excited to hear the stuff you're creating with Panic Boom when that comes out.
For sure.
Revolution, great. Sounded great.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
The next single will be about 4 to 6 weeks. It will be Keep It to Myself is the next single. So we have to still shoot the video, but that'll be the next one. So
are the Panic Boom, are they all in that style of Revolution? Are they all that heavy groove?
No, well, to give you an example, one of the songs called Stardust, which is my favorite, all-time favorite, has a cello starting it.
Okay.
So it's a very eclectic record. It has the same, let me say this, when you hear each song, that it's ours, but it's going to have a flavor, an eclectic flavor and sounds. We've experimented. We took what we know as old school sounds and we married them with today. And I think there's where the charm is. We're able to do that without losing ourselves or our direction, and still being able to play them live because, we don't need to put a 30, but the cello, that was a McClernand idea. We wrote Stardust and I sent it to him. I arranged it in a different way with a guitar to start in the beginning, and he took it and made brilliant stuff out of it. And that's why he's producing stuff, because that's what he has. And took it to the next level. Everybody in this band takes it to the next level. So
good.
It's
exciting stuff.
It is, and I'm very grateful for these guys and people that are our fans. Like I said before, it's been a fun ride, and it's no stress,
that's great. That's
just
the best
chilling.
part.
Yeah.
You can have fun now.
Yep. Finally. Right.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, again,
right, Joe.
thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. Thanks for the rescheduling 30 times. I apologize.
Hey, you know what? It happens. You know.
Yeah. And I'll
It's
get
just-
those mug shots to you. I got to take a picture with the damn coffee. I drink so much coffee all day. I
Yeah.
have to take a picture.
Well, I do too. What time is it here? It's 10:30 at night. I'm drinking my coffee right now.
Yeah. It's 7:30 here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will definitely get a picture to you. I promise.
All right, man.
Cool, man. Have a good
Thanks.
night. Talk to you soon. And as soon as we get something ready, we'll send you another one.
Sounds great.
Cool. All right, man.
All
Take
right.
care.
See you, Phil.